want y'all to understand that haters have a job to do.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Fight!
I mean, dude, is there a law against liking BBW? Let's get it started, folks. March 10th, 2017. Biggest news of the day, or yesterday actually, was Brock Osweiler being traded to the Cleveland Browns, NFL free agency. Day one winners and losers. I tell you what, it looks like the biggest winner of yesterday biggest winner so far is Philadelphia. They picked up Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith, a speedster and a go-get-it guy. Biggest loser looks like it's the Redskins because, first of all, the GM, they fired their GM, and Kirk Cousins is demanding a trade. Now, how will Snyder handle this? No one knows. I know Kirk Cousins just signed a franchise tag, and I don't know if there was rumblings saying that Scott McLaughlin, the GM who was fired, and Kirk Cousins didn't get along, but no one knows the in-house news on that, what actually was going on. But Kirk Cousins did sign a franchise tag, making him eligible for a trade. So you have a couple of teams that can go after him, including the Chicago Bears. Now, first covering, let's talk about the biggest trade of the day, Brock Osweiler. Let's go back to that. With the Browns, you got to ask yourself, what do the Browns have that attracted, Osweiler to the team, or what made the coaches go after him? I mean, you have right now Cody Kessler, according to the current lineup, Cody Kessler, Robert Griffin III, and Kevin Hogan on the roster. And with those guys, Robert Griffin, obviously everybody knows he was the big, the next all-star quarterback for the league, but that didn't pan out because of several injuries to his knee. That said, what Brock Osweiler is getting in Cleveland is he's getting the team that they'll build around him. At receiver, you have a bunch of so-called utility guys. Corey Coleman on the roster right now. You have Corey Coleman, Ramel Hall, Rashad Higgins, Jordan Left. Basically, a bunch of guys who are utility guys at best. In the backfield, you got George Atkinson III, and he had some decent days in Oakland when he was out in Oakland. So you got Duke Johnson still. So, but with free agency and with trade deadlines, you have a lot of movement that Cleveland can still do. That said, with Kirk Cousins, will they trade him? I don't see why they wouldn't, because he'll be unhappy out in Washington. And the biggest thing is with this draft, a lot of people are eyeing Davis Webb. So you have a couple quarterbacks, mainly Webb. You have Deshaun Kaiser from Notre Dame. So you got a couple guys, obviously Deshaun Watson, that can be brought out to a team. I think a lot of these teams don't want to start with a rookie, so that's the biggest thing. Kirk Cousins is definitely capable of making a couple of playoff runs, a couple of deep playoff runs, if he stays in Washington, but he wants to go. So if Snyder doesn't trade him, I'll be highly surprised. With that being said, Tony Romo, they're talking about Tony Romo being traded. That's a definite no-no. That's as much of a no-no as Garoppolo staying in New England. You can get max value for Garoppolo right now. For Tony Romo, you can't get any value. It's not a value trade. Tony Romo, as I said before, he's going to give you, and everybody else is saying it, he's going to give you an injury or a Super Bowl run. what offense does he fit in right now? I think he can adjust to an offense. The fact is, for a 37-year-old quarterback, are you going to pay that 15, 16 million a year that he's making for him to all you're doing is bringing in a cap liability. So you have teams. They say Houston, the Texans are opening up room for him. We'll see. You just never know. Nobody suspected that, including myself, that Osweiler would be traded to the Browns. But, anything can happen. It's a guessing game every day. But that said, right now you got to say that Carson Wentz out in Philadelphia is smiling. He has a big smile on his face. Not only can he compete with Dallas and New York next year, he can. You may possibly see the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm calling it out that you have 90% chance seeing them seeing those guys in the NFC Championship. Why now you have Alshon Jeffrey, that's your big target. He can stretch the field. He's a possession guy. He can make the big play. Torrey Smith, that's the guy, another guy, deep threat, and you always need a deep threat. Get down the field. But what they do is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz last year, 78 receptions, 816 yards, 4 TDs, and close to 11 yards per catch. Now he's the wild card. If he stays healthy, I tell you what Carson Wentz has just inherited is a team that is ready to make a big playoff push. Defense, no problems with that. Darren Sproles, yes, retired. They talking about trading Ryan Matthews, but look at this upcoming draft. Is anybody going to do? Is anybody going to do exactly what was not expected in Dallas? With Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott. No, we don't. I don't think a back will have a year like Ezekiel Elliott had in this year for a while. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, but you have a lot of guys coming out this year in a draft that can fit. And I'll tell you what, if Philadelphia grabs utility back like Alvin Kamara out of Tennessee, what Wentz can do as far as with his quarterback knowledge, quarterback brain, so to speak, you can, you probably will be looking at the Philadelphia Eagles making not only a deep playoff run, but like I said, NFC Championship, Super Bowl run. Just stay tuned on that one. So, real quick, I'm sure everybody heard about the Michigan the Wolverines basketball team. Their plane slid off the expressway, and I wrote an article in BeSquadSport magazine about travel safeties for teams. And as an ex-athlete, I remember my first plane ride was when we visited Michigan to play a football game. My redshirt freshman year. That was my first time on a plane, and it was ridiculously scary. That said, of course, most of us we are Marshall. About November 14, 1970, plane crash at a Marshall football team. So, no one makes light on travel safety for teams. You had the Brazilian soccer team months back. All of them unfortunately died with the Lamia flight 2933 and crashed in Colombia. Then like I said, Butler. You had the Butler team playing basketball team. They lost cabin pressure. You had players saying they thought they were going to die. What type of issue now is on the table? You can ask yourself that. I think you're going to have a lot of players soon doing what, I don't know if you guys remember what John Madden, John Madden hated to fly, and so he had the Madden Cruiser. It seems like you'll have a lot of players soon deciding to drive or deciding to get bust or taking the train out to their location. Now, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're we're ways away from that, but that could happen with the accidents, and I'm sure there have been more incidents that have not been reported because they were so minute, so small. But that Michigan plane, that's a scary moment. You saw that they played Illinois, and they wore their practice uniforms because the regular uniforms were stuck on the plane. So I don't know. It just seems like some players will get frightened by this and may decide to say, hey, coach, I want to rather go to the game via different travel, using different travel arrangements. So that could happen. That said, let's talk about let's go into this real quick, high school football. And I don't know if you've heard about the kid out of IMG Academy, Daniel Falele. Falil. I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Daniel. If I'm not, forgive me. This young man is a 6'9", close to 400-pound prospect, and I've seen big linemen, I've seen big guys, but this guy, if you look at his film, it is incredible. He is incredibly athletic to be that big. Now, will there be athletes his size that come around? More to come. Yes, but what this opens, the can of worms this opens. Not I mean, he's not cursed to be that size. I mean, this kid has a bright future, smart player, but the Pacific Pro Football League, they are trying to get set up out west. And what happens with a young man like this who already has the physical ability of a professional football player? He fits the exact bill of a league like this where a young player can get paid. And right now, with all the controversy around the NCAA, making money and the kids just, not getting any part of it. What happens when you get a couple of these guys, the Daniel Falels, who are physically ready? Learning football, that's a matter of the coaches, but he's physically ready to go to that next level. And when I say that next level, I mean, all-star college. Obviously, he has every conference in America as far as the NCAA recruiting him. So we'll see how that goes. NBA talk, I keep hearing Russell Westbrook lost 3 in a row and he scored over 45. Russell Westbrook is one of the best players in the NBA, bar none. That's people constantly pick with Westbrook as he doesn't have this. Westbrook stayed in OKC in Oklahoma City because Westbrook believes he can win in Oklahoma City. There's nothing wrong with that. He's Victor Oladipo. Now he has Taj Gibson. Does he have enough pieces around him to win? Who knows? Out west, obviously, Golden State. Now, Golden State, yes, they've lost Durant. I'm a Spurs guy myself because Kawhi Leonard is just ridiculously. He's going into his Kobe Bryant, Jordan mode, Kawhi Leonard, and people say, that's crazy. Why would you say that? Kawhi Leonard is just a quiet guy. That's all to it. So people take that as, well, he's not marketable. He's this and that. He's just a quiet guy. His game speaks. So
I gotta stop. This fight's finished. I gotta call it. Look, you can't do no more out there. You're a fighter. He's killing you. I gotta stop this thing.
I'm already getting a buzz to get out of here. That's maybe the shortest show that that show is shorter than yesterday. What's going on, guys? You want me to cut out all? Run him down! Okay, well, I'm gonna take 10 more minutes. Okay, well, I tell you what, tomorrow we're gonna go a little bit longer. At least give me 30 minutes on the mic. So, you guys stay tuned. Join us again tomorrow, and we'll be talking more baseball. We'll talk college basketball. See how this Duke North Carolina game goes today, and we'll see you then.